Meanwhile, over in Tuscaloosa, where fans of Alabama are already singing Dixieland Delight,
Absolutely.
there's a high expectation for Kalen DeBoer getting
Mm-hmm.
the Crimson Tide program back on track. Here is our preview for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Another team that did not quite meet their standards, but when Nick Saban was your coach and set the bar so high,
Yeah.
it's rather difficult to
A
meet
little
those
tough.
standards every year.
Yeah.
Uh, but the Crimson Tide are chugging along, not exactly where they wanted to be, losing to Michigan. Um, that bowl loss, it broke their record. Was it 16 seasons of
Yep.
10
I think
wins or
that's right.
more?
Yep.
Uh, so Kalen DeBoer, though, has made some changes like Venables we were talking about on the offensive side of the ball. He's got Ryan Grubb, his offensive coordinator. They worked together at Washington, that high-powered offense led by Michael Penix. Uh, so now they're going to try to recreate that magic in Tuscaloosa. The big question, though, Darren, is we talk about Oklahoma having John Mateer. We know what he can do. Who's going to run this offense for Alabama?
Well, I think that the front runner coming in is oh, I just went absolutely blank. Ty Simpson. There we go. It disappeared there for a second. It looks like that's kind of the heir apparent. Uh, I mean, who knows when you get the kind of talent that Alabama, even under Kalen DeBoer, not under Nick Saban, as you said, but it's Alabama still. So the kind of talent they can assemble, you never know who's going to kind of come out of nowhere. But it would seem at this point that Ty Simpson is kind of the leader in the clubhouse, and he showed some promise. But truthfully, if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm looking at that going, okay, there's kind of been a mixed review thing like we had with Jalen Milroe leading up to him taking the reins. So how do I feel about that? I think these last couple of years, for the first time in a while, have given Alabama fans kind of a pause of, how do I feel about the offense? What's this offense going to look like? What's our quarterback going to look like? And even if you say, okay, Ty Simpson is the starter, I don't think you have the answer to that still. You got to see a lot in those first few non conference games that you have an opportunity.
They're returning all SEC wide receiver Ryan Williams. So whoever takes snaps for Alabama, they've got an incredible talent to throw the ball to.
Absolutely.
Alabama lost a couple of tight ends, but they've brought in different players, as every team is doing in this new era of the
Right.
transfer portal. So they brought in, I think, Isaiah Horton from Miami. They got Jeremy Bernard. So they I think they're going to be okay on the receiving side of it. Their Jam Miller returns as their starting running back. What do you see as, besides the quarterback? We don't, the unknown of who the quarterback's going to be, if it's going to be Simpson or who. Running backs, wide receivers. You feel good about those groups, Darren?
I do. And obviously, those are going to be groups that are going to be talented rooms, not just a person that stands out. They're going to, obviously, like you said, there are some names that do stand out, but there's going to be talent in those rooms. There's going to be depth in those rooms. I tell you another thing, if I am an Alabama fan, I kind of look at it and go, okay, maybe this is some of the positive we're looking for. Their offensive line returns some strong people. Proctor, Roberts, Brailsford, those are all big interior guys that can bring some strength that you're going to need when you're looking at uncertainty, especially in quarterback, like we're talking about, when you're going to need possibly to lean on that run. You need those big guys that can blow open holes. So that's a positive that I would be excited about if I'm an Alabama fan. That offensive line looks to be a strength that can help uh, open holes, protect the quarterback, do the things you need them to do, especially as everybody's getting comfortable within the offensive scheme.
Yeah, and on the defensive side of things, Kane Womack comes
Mhm.
back with his defense ready to hit the ground running. 6 starters are coming back. It
Yep.
looks like the secondary is going to be extremely strong, even though they lost Malachi Moore. Uh, they're going to be good. Linebacker room looks good
Yep.
as usual. So uh, I think Alabama's the biggest thing for them this offseason was player retention, and they
Right.
battened down the hatches and they kept their guys, kept them
Absolutely.
from transferring, kept them from going to the draft. And I think Kalen DeBoer has this team where he wants it. The
Yeah.
big question for me is, like with we could say with a lot of these unknowns, is who's going to be the quarterback, and is that guy going to be able to play up to expectations?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you one more positive. If I'm an Alabama fan, you were talking about their retention. When you look at Alabama insiders, kind of those, the guys that really study the team and podcast and team sites and stuff like that, it seems that one of the other big positives is some of these guys they retained were locker room leaders. And that's such a that can so, especially when you've got some uncertainty at the quarterback position, that could so make or break a team. So that's a positive that I can hold on to if I'm an Alabama fan as well. There have been some real key guys that are leadership guys inside that locker room that have been retained by this staff and are there to kind of carry the torch and pick everybody up and pull everybody together.
Alabama is still recruiting near the top every year, so they haven't
Of
really lost
course.
a step on the recruiting trail. Player retention, there's a couple of schools of thought when it comes these days to building a team. We'll talk about some SEC teams in the coming weeks that go out and they pull in a haul from the transfer portal. They're
Hmm.
spending money, they're getting players. And then there are teams that are like, no, we want to develop our own players. We want to keep them here,
Right.
and so we're going to see this play out on the field this year. What is going to work for what teams? And we're going to see some teams where their philosophy pans out exactly like they anticipate. And we're going to see some teams that it turns into a train wreck because
Yeah.
sometimes your players don't develop like you wish they would, and they don't meet expectations. Other times your transfer portal players uh, maybe they don't buy into to representing
Yeah.
the school as much as you would like them to do, and
Hmm.
so can you form cohesive team units,
Yeah.
and that's going to be a big question this year in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. And we'll see those, everybody's excited about their team's philosophy until it doesn't work. Teams that want to build from the ground up and their players don't develop, fan base is going to be talking about the transfer portal. Teams that hit the transfer portal and it doesn't pan out, they don't gel together, that fan base is going to be talking about we should have recruited better. And we're going to see where all of those lie as the season progresses.
And that's part of the experience of being a college football fan.
Absolutely.
Expectations, everyone's excited for their team right now. We think, okay, we've made the moves that we need to make, and then the first time it doesn't happen on the field, we experience that gut wrenching loss. Then we start to
Absolutely.
question everything, and
Yep.
that's just part of being a college football fan,
Absolutely.
particularly in the SEC where
Yep.
it just means more.
Well done. Well done.